can I ask you a couple of other questions
Yeah.
along that same vein, which is, right, you open your practice,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm imagining you don't open it and then the doors just kind of burst open and people start flooding in,
Right.
right?
Right.
How do you, as a Black clinician, bring people into your practice?
Yeah.
Right? What are you doing going into the Black community? How are you reaching them, connecting to them, to get them to come in to take advantage of the work that you do?
Right. Right. So that's a really good question too. I think one of the things, because like I said, I'm also a professor and I do a lot of talks, right?
Hmm.
So I do connect. I have connections with people within the community who already know me, right? So it's like they already know me. Many of them are people who trained me,
Hmm.
right? And I'm already doing the work in the community. And I think the other thing also is just the way in which I present. I was very intentional about the name of my practice. I was
Hmm.
very intentional about how the website is going to look,
Yeah.
right? If you go on our website, there's a part that says "We see you," right?
Hmm.
And I knowingly put that in there because one of the things that we talk about as Black and Brown people, as people who are often marginalized in society, is how we're not seen, literally and figuratively.
Hmm.
And the only time when we're seen is when we're quote unquote a threat to people,
Yes.
right? So I wanted to, and particularly in therapy, um, Black and Brown clients feels like their clinicians, their therapists do not see them. So I wanted to make that specific. I also like intentionally picked the name of my practice to be Ibisami, which is a Yoruba word for being born fits you,
Hmm.
right?
Talk about that.
So it's like being born fits you, being born suits you.
Hmm.
And as Black and Brown people, particularly Black people, people of African descent, we're told that the way in which we're created is not good enough,
Yes.
right? That we're not light enough, or we're not
Hmm.
white enough, don't have a straighter hair, or like we're saying, you're not talking right enough.
Hmm.
Everything that society tends to tell us is to devalue our dignity and humanity. And
Your personhood is deficient.
right, exactly. Like there's something wrong with your person, and we know
Hmm.
this. Both you and I know this. Like
Hmm.
based on psychology, right?
Yes.
Like all the studies in the 50s and the 40s, and even in the 60s and 70s, and even some of the research that were done in the 90s is about how wrong and how deficient we are as
Correct.
Black people. So I
Correct.
really wanted the name to say, no, there's nothing wrong with her, with us. Being born actually fits us, right? Being who we are fits who we are. Our dignity, our humanity is who we are, and it fits us, right? And so when people come to our clinic, to our practice, that's what I want them to see. That's what I want them to get, even in the way we talk to them, from the initial consultation to the way we continue to work with them, that we're helping you to see your wholeness, to regain
Yes.
your wholeness, to really see that you're made whole, complete, and not lacking anything.
And how have you been finding people responding to that?
People actually appreciate it a lot.
Yeah.
People feel like, I mean, when we talk about mental health, we're not just talking about mental health. We're talking about emotional, we're talking about spiritual, we're
Hmm.
talking about soul healing, right? So people really feel like it speaks to them. It speaks to, I really appreciate the work that you are doing. People
Yes.
have called us and be like, I love your website. That's
Yeah.
the first thing. Like, it felt like you were speaking right to me. Like I felt seen.
Your website, it's when you go on it, it's like you're looking at your people,
Yes.
right? Can you spell your website for
Yeah.
me?
So it's ibisami.com. So
Oh, I
IB,
got it. Sorry.
yep.
I'm gonna put it in for you.
Okay, thanks.
Can you talk about? Um, I want to go back to an issue that we had mentioned earlier. The
Yeah.
importance of going into the spaces of people of color.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can't, in order for you to be able to connect with people, people need to know you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you can't just be like, oh, people need to come, especially as mental health provider. We can't just be like, people need to come to us. We actually need to go to them, right? And given, I mean, we know the history of, sorry, New York City living.
All right. No, I know. I film in New York all the time. We got a lot of sirens in the background.
Right. So I think knowing the history of just Black people in United States with mental health, right, and just with medical health in general, it makes sense that we are distrustful of like mental health services, medical health services. So in order to be able to truly like reach this community, we have to go to them, right?
Yes.
We have to be the one, especially as quote unquote like servant leaders, we have
Mm-hmm.
to be the ones saying to people, we're here. We're here to help you, rather than us saying, oh, come to us. And if you don't come to us, that means you're being resistant, right?
Correct. Yes.
Like, I'm sorry, what? So,
which is the old conception.
right. And that's why, I mean, people, especially when you don't see them and when you've already written and there are history, generational histories, right? And trauma of how you've really devalued and treated people with so much punishment and
Mm-hmm.
pain, right? And deceptiveness. It makes sense that no one wants to come to mental
Correct.
health,
Correct.
right? That then the work that we need to do is really to go to the people, is
Correct.
to say, this is who we are. This is the way in which I function. Even there's this whole thing in that field of like, oh, the therapist needs to be a clean slate and you can't tell your client anything about you. One of the things that we really ask our clients the first time they meet us is, do you have any questions for us?
Yes.
Right? Because it's a way of modeling to them that this is a space where I want you to be open. I want you to share
Right.
with me. So if you can't trust me, why should I then
Right.
trust you to open up to me?
And I'm secretive and I'm guarded
Right.
and I don't treat you like I want to be. People want, if we're going to say that the therapeutic relationship is supposed to be reparative, meaning
Right.
the relationship itself, not all my skills, not
Right.
all my theories, not
Right.
my degree on the wall,
Right.
but the relationship between me and you need to have, you as a client need to have a relationship with a human being, a real person.
Exactly.
And they stress in school, right, that genuineness,
Yes.
right, that
Yes.
genuineness and unconditional positive regard.
Right.
And then but then they say, go in and don't be human, don't laugh and don't tell jokes, and you know what I mean, don't tell your clients they tripping, right, like
Right.
don't.
Right. Right.
and that, but that's what the people they grab, that's what they latch on to.
Right. Right. Because I mean, the minute you start being guarded, your client is going, well, should I trust you?
Who is this?
Right?
Yeah.
Like they might, and as people of color, we're very attuned to stuff like that just because
Mm-hmm.
that's a trauma response for us.
Mm-hmm.
When we sense people being guarded, our guard goes up.
That's right.
So as a clinician of color working with Black and brown people, that's one of the things that we have to unlearn, right?
Yeah.
We have to say, how do I reach this group of people? It's not by going, I'm a blank slate, you should know anything about me. It's about, okay, how can I open up to you
Yes.
so that you can open up to me, so that you can feel not only comfortable, but really feel that the space that you're coming into is a space of healing.
That's right. That's right.